Ariel Helwani post-fight at Strikeforce in San Diego alongside Strikeforce CEO Mr. Scott Coker. And Scott, thank you so much for the time. A very exciting event, and I know you're glowing. I'll give you the sort of forum right here. Talk to us about what you saw out there.
I mean, it was electric. That's the one word that I can think of. And it reminded me of those old fights back, when I was growing up, when Leonard fought Duran one, or the big boxing fights, Ali Frazier, it had that electricity, and when the bell rang, I mean, those guys brought it, and I got to give it to Paul Daley because he brought it. He was out there hunting for Nick, and Nick was hunting for him. So it was one of those fights that, that electricity and that energy in that arena was unbelievable. And you at that level you see it. Come on, how often? Maybe 2-3 times a year, but Nick always brings it, man. We're very proud of him.
What do you think of the stoppage in the Nick Diaz fight? Do you think it was at a good point?
When I first saw it, I thought it was premature, but when I looked on the video replay screen, and Paul got hit like at least five, 6 unanswered blows, just taking full shots to the face. At that point, you're like, okay, maybe it was right to stop the fight.
Do you feel as though the fighters in general stepped it up tonight, considering this is a new era for Strikeforce? Clearly, Gilbert Melendez was fired up. You can hear it in his post-fight interview. But do you think that the guys who won, Aoki and Diaz too, really stepped it up because of the stakes were maybe a little more raised this time?
You know what, I'll tell you, here's how I feel. I think if you look back at the last year, our fights have been phenomenal, right? And they've been amazing. And this is just another performance of Strikeforce showing that, look, we got some of the best fighters in the world. And now we're going to the heavyweight tournament, which is going to be Alistair fighting for Beast of Verdun, Gina Carano coming back. Josh going to fight Brett Rogers, and we got those other 2 heavyweights with Chad Griggs and Valentin Overeem, and then we got Daniel Cormier making his long-awaited return, and he's going to fight Shane Del Rosario. So our heavyweight division is stacked, and we're going to keep building these guys, and when they get the call to to do the big fights later, let's get it on.
We'll get to that in a second, but Nick said he wants to take some time off now.
He's building a big palace up in the hills, I heard, because he's been making so much money that he's going to go buy his new car and build his new house.
So will you give him some time off?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing, guys. You know what? I mean, Nick says that, but let's be real. You offer the fight, the fighter has to take the fight, and so if it was really a problem, he'd be saying something. But I was telling the group here, listen, Nick Diaz can afford any house he wants in the 209 area code. He can buy any car he wants in California, so let's get that straight.
We saw Tyron Woodley here wearing a T-shirt that said, "I got next." Does he, in fact, have next?
I mean, he can make a strong argument for that, and we're definitely going to sit down with Tyron. Maybe he gets another fight or 2 in between while while Nick Diaz builds his house, and then let's get it on,
And then Gilbert Melendez, I mean, he was very excited about his fight, but he was just calling out the UFC guys. No one in particular about, or anyone in the Strikeforce lightweight division. Who do you think could be next for him?
Well, here's the thing, I mean, to me, it depends on when Gilbert fights again, but, there's a couple guys that were teeing up to potentially fight Gilbert, and I think one of them will probably fight Justin Wilcox, fight George Masvidal, and the winner maybe fights Gilbert. But if we can get this, thing, going in parallel, and that big fight can happen with Frankie, let's get it on.
No problem. Who do you think won the Jardine-Mousasi fight?
Oh, I think Gegard won that fight. I mean, I get a lot of respect for Keith Jardine, but I think that Gegard won the fight.
Yeah. Are you surprised that they called it a draw? I mean, can you even see why they might have called it a draw? And do you need some water?
Yeah, I do need some water. Can I get some water?
Go ahead. Right there. Over there. Scott's just going to get some water for a second. He'll be back in a second. And no problem. We're talking about the Keith Jardine-Gegard-Mousasi fight, which ended up in a draw. And I was just curious as to what you thought, because it seemed like everyone I've talked to thought that Gegard Mousasi won that fight 29-27.
Yeah, I can't speak for the judges, and I don't want to go there, but it's a draw, and let's let them do it again.
Finally, Shinya Aoki, I mean, his first performance in Strikeforce not very good, and then he comes back, really sent a message, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was here to show his stuff. The guy's talented, unbelievable submission fighter, and when you see what he did to Lyle, who's a good fighter himself, I mean, Shinya's definitely back.
I saw Dana White tweet a picture of you and him and Lorenzo Fertitta.
I walk in the arena and I run into them like, this is surreal. It's like, well, But I'm glad they came and supported us, and they own the company. But they didn't have to come here and watch a fight. They could have watched it at home, and for them to come and show up and be a part of it means a lot to me. And Strikeforce is a very special place in my heart, and we're going to keep doing what we do.
So unclear whether or not there are fight night bonuses, right?
Unclear.
By the way, I like seeing you stand in between the fighters now. I remember we talked about that in December.
Yeah.
What's that like for you?
You know what? I tell you, it's I've done it in the past, but it's to me it's something that it's not something that I always will do. But I think with that Daley Diaz show, I needed to be there because those guys would have fought at the weigh-ins. I mean, at the press conference and the weigh-ins. I mean, these guys definitely have some heat, and I can't. I mean, I'd love to see that fight again. Let's do it next month.
Yeah. You might have a problem with Nick on that one.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's building his house. Nick's building his mansion up in the hills right now.
Okay, and final question, you mentioned Gina Carano. You told us who's fighting on June 18th, but she does not appear to have an opponent. Yeah. Who do you think will be her opponent?
You know what? We'll have something to announce next week. Right now, we don't have an announcement.
How about you only tell me, and no one will watch this for a week, and we'll tell them when to watch it?
I can tell you one of the fighters that we were trying to put together was her to fight Cindy Denois. Okay. But Cindy actually wanted to take the fight and ended up being 3.5 months pregnant. So she will not be fighting.
That's a problem.
On June 18th.
Didn't someone punk you with that one time with Cyborg?
It was Cyborg on the Gina Carano fight. They punked me, but this one was real. So in fact, Abby was the one that called me on that Gigar's trainer. So it's we're in the process of locking down the other opponent right now.
All right, Scott. Well, thank you so much for the time. Congratulations on this huge event, and we look forward to June 18th in Dallas.
It's going to be a lot of fun.